Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is November the 27th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2022 on the Greco-Roman civil calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign, living, ancient Article 3. Moorish American, Al-Moroccan, Universal Court Action. We are the Sovereign Living Justices. I am Sovereign Living Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American consular court. We are the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are the United States District 4 Columbia Court. We are the sovereign fiduciaries, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, possessors, and beneficiaries in this cause for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension, issue a universal creditor's bill for possession against all judgment debtors, and exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time. Nunc pro tunc. Islam. Let's see. Empress Cynthia and Bay, would you please your mic and just say Islam really quickly? Empress Cynthia, are you there? Okay. And I believe I got the wrong one. Just one moment. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Oops. A little bit of housekeeping going on here. Just a moment. Empress Cynthia, are you there? Empress Cynthia, could you open your microphone? Okay, gotcha.
That's a problem.
Okay.
That's
no, that's okay.
Going on here, but
that's okay.
Find me now.
Yeah, I have you. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Islam.
Okay, we just want to make sure that we have everything in place here. So we want to first state that we apologize for this past Thursday's announcement not being as widespread as we would have liked. We put the announcement that we were not having a congressional assembly on this past November 24th. And we put it out on social media, but apparently, we failed to put it out more widely. And so we accept full responsibility for that. And we'll, in the future, we will send everyone an email stating that we're not having a meeting. We try not to do blast emails and things like that with the emails that come on the platform too often, because we don't want to flood people's emails with, things, because I know everyone gets emails, probably as many as we do. And so we apologize for that, and thank you for everyone who did come this past Thursday, even though we were not here.
So you were observing Thanksgiving then, huh, Pauline?
For those who were
How was
here.
your Thanksgiving?
And then we also want to
where's your Land Rover, bitch?
Let everyone
Where's your fucking Land?
Just a moment. Let everyone know that the space that we're in right now, nationally and universally as well, is that our divine health is being given back to us. And so the ancestors wanted us to bring that out at this time, that divine health is returned back to the heirs. What we have to do, some may be experiencing health issues, or what appears to be health issues, but it's not really health issues as much as it is your body saying, go ahead and start exercising and go ahead and start clearing some of the acid out of your body, because our bodies have been in a state of high acidity, since we've been in our sleep. And now that we're waking up, fasting and natural sea salt, not the store-bought stuff, but natural sea salt will assist in getting our bodies back to an alkaline state. But nothing does that overall, as well as fasting. A water fast will help to get our bodies more alkaline. So if you're having aches and pains and headaches and symptoms such as that, stiffness and things like that, then that's your body saying it's highly acidic and it needs to be made more alkaline. And then some are having issues with, throats and things like that. Whatever the issue is, our bodies can naturally heal itself. And we need to, as a nation, continue our 3-day fast. We do have a 3-day fast coming up, the full moon fast for next month. I believe the full moon is on the 7th of December, so our full moon fast will be the 6th, 7th, and 8th of next month. So for those who can do a 3-day fast, water only, or water and sea salt, please do so. And then for those who do sun up to sundown, however you're led to fast by the energies within you, then please do so. And then those who are fasting from things like negative energy and all of those things, that's actually something that we're working on doing permanently, making that a permanent part of our everyday existence. So why is divine health important? Because of where we're going. And that brings me to our subject matter for today. Where we're going as the state, the nation, the government, is that we are moving into full control of the vast estate, full control. What does that mean? That means that all of the work and the responsibility of governing is ours. It always has been, really, but now we're doing it from a place of knowing that it's our responsibility to govern our vast estate. And what does that mean? That means that now we are moving into the area where any of the work that we do from this point forward must be bonded. We must bond our work. So for just one moment, there's someone who put something in the chat about send emails in the chat for Delarium. What does that mean? Who, I'm not sure who that is with regard to planets. If you need Delarium, you can put your email in there. Just one moment. Just a moment. Okay. Let me see here. Rayvon, is that you? Oh, my apologies. Oops. Sign back in. That would be great. Thank you. I didn't know that was you. Okay, I apologize. Okay, go ahead and go back in and put it back in there. Thank you. Okay, I just booted my heiress out. She's working, and I didn't realize she was working right now. Okay, so that was her. Anyone wanting Delarium, I apologize. Please put your email in the chat, and my heiress will send you the Delarium. Islam. So now, so with regard to bonding, why is bonding important? Because it sets everything up where there have been those who have been asking about security and things like that. Just a moment. Things like security, things like military, and you know, people have been doing things with regard to wanting to present as a well-organized militia has to be bonded. And that's where people are running into problems, is they're trying to do things without actually properly presenting, okay? Our military and our, you know, anything that has to do with the Moorish military has to be properly bonded, okay? We have to make sure that as things take place on the land, that insurance is in place, okay? The issue with, for example, the demonstration that we did recently with regard to our conveyance, that demonstration proved to us that those that were previously doing business as things like Nissan and Toyota and all of these other entities, they're not bonded. And that's why they are having the problems that they're having, is the work that they're doing is not properly bonded. And that means they work. The problem that Nissan is having, quote unquote Nissan, because we're really Nissan, we're really Toyota, and all of those belong to the Moors. And so they can't do anything with regard to fixing conveyances properly and things like that. And what's happening is the factories and the dealerships are at war with one another over that whole bonding situation and who gets to do all of that, okay? So with regard to those bonds and the work that's being done, what has happened is the factories have put so many regulations and stipulations on the franchises that the franchises can't possibly fulfill those mandates sent by the factory in order for the factory to warranty, that's the bond, warranty the work. So even on the military campaign that we looked at with Nissan, you can see on there that it's saying that one of the instruments that they need to even do the work, they don't even have it. Why? Because the factory hadn't sent that instrument. The factory actually has to send them that instrument, but it can't send it because the factory doesn't have the authority to send anything without proper bonding. And if it gets lost in translation, who's going to pay for that? Well, no one wanted to take the responsibility for it. So therefore, that instrument, they were pretending to start a campaign that they can't even finish. They really can't even get it started because proper bonding is not in place. And so we, the people, must bond the work that goes on our land. Okay? And so in order for that to be the case, I have a question for you. And the question is, because, see, we've been talking about bonds. We've been talking about birth certificate bonds. We've been talking about Social Security number, card bonds. And and driver's license bonds, and, you know, all of these bonds. Our teachers have spoken to us about this bonding process and how we needed to kill the bonds, kill the bonds, kill the bonds. Well, guess what? We killed the bonds. We killed them, and now we have to put something in its place. Okay, and so all of the work stoppages that you're seeing where people are walking off the jobs, even the policy, the previous quote unquote policy enforcers were no longer bonded. So when they make mistakes, it goes straight to personal responsibility. So now, what do we do about that? We bond the work that's on our land according to the Constitution. Can anyone on this call tell me where in the law bonding is found? That's a question. Where in the law is bonding found? And you can star 6. Because, see, we've been talking about those bonds, and we've been killing them because they were not following the Constitution, which is where the bonding came from. Can you anyone tell me in the Constitution where bonding is found? We'll leave the floor open for, and you can star 6 if you know. I love our calls. Islam. Okay, so go ahead. I believe someone was about to say something. Go ahead.
Islam. This is Satali from Police Territory.
Yes,
So,
Islam.
Is it Article 1, Section 10? When it talks about...
Go ahead, Empress.
Yeah, when it talks about nobody can make letters a marquee and
that
I
is
have to look at it, but Article 1, Section
10. That is absolutely part of it. It's found several places. That's one of them.
Okay, this one.
Yes. Empress Rahim, Justice Rahim says the 8th Amendment. Justice Rahim, do you want to expand on that a little bit? And you can just hit star 6. Let's just take a quick look. Islam nobility.
Says excessive bail should not be required, no excessive fines imposed, no cruel or unusual punishment inflicted.
That is absolutely one of the other places. Yes, excessive bail shall not be required. And then there's a third place as well that was even before the amendments were made. Bonding was put into the Constitution, and then they had to expand on that with that 8th Amendment. So yes, absolutely. Islam nobility. Okay. So, yes, the 8th Amendment. Empress Shatali said the First Amendment. The Article 1, Section 10. And also Article 1, Section 4, which states that full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public act. A public act is a public bonding measure. Records and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress may by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. Public bonding is something that is done where full faith and credit, and see, this is why we're getting the results we're getting with regard to anything we say in terms of liens, when we lien them and do all of these things, they can no longer work. And what's happening right now is all of that work is stopping because we got rid of those bonds. We said we don't have full faith and credit in nothing you say and do, those that were previously occupying. We said we don't have full faith and credit. Our full faith and credit is in ourselves. Why? Because policy enforcers, or those pretending to be policy enforcers, were stepping outside of the Constitution and doing all types of madness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So that's where all of that comes from. Is where does full faith and credit come in at? It comes in where we say, okay, full faith and credit is the bonding. It means who's underwriting this work. And so instead of underwriting, we overwrite because we stand over everything and everyone. And see, Nissan, those that were previously doing business as Nissan, this problem, I looked on YouTube and I saw them trying to fix this same problem in a 1995 Nissan. They were trying to fix the same problem with the transmissions. And it's gotten to the point now where the factory just started, they just kept putting that stuff out there. They just changed the body style, same problems. Changed the body style, same problem. And they were not able to fix or do anything like that. So failure of that system was built in at the factory. Why? Because, and they're not the only ones. There are other automakers, quote unquote, who are having the same issues, and they've not been able to fix them. Okay? So now it's to the point where they don't have any bonds to be able to do anything. There's no insurance to even pay the people to fix the thing. And see, they know that, but they're not telling people that because they expect the people to know what the Constitution says about public acts and records and judicial actions. And then the public has we then, okay, the people have to actually say, okay, where is our full faith and credit? Where is it? Well, we're saying on the public record that it's with us, and it is, and that nobody's going to move until we say. And so we're just saying, okay, well, let's just watch this thing do what it's doing until they can hear. And now I believe everyone's listening. And that's not even a belief, that's a knowing. Everyone is paying attention now because they know we know who we are. And it couldn't be just one of us that says, okay, we're going to bond everything. We had to do it together. And again, we speak with one voice. And so for those more who've been doing demonstrations and you've not necessarily been seeing the results that you wanted to see, it's because they can't do anything. They cannot do anything until we put bonding on the public record. And that bonding is according to Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, and Article 1, Section 10, and the 8th Amendment, like the Moore said here on this call, on this Congressional Assembly. So even when you go to the grocery store, we have to tell them that you're not going to use fake fiat in order to do the things that need to be done. That our full faith and credit is in the money we say is the real money. Well, what is money? Money is a form of bond. That's what the paper things are with the serial numbers on it. And so, according to the Constitution, if there's a public act that happens, then when you look at Article 1, Section 5, it starts talking right after it talks about the public acts and how we're supposed to be, all actions are supposed to be backed by the public, then it goes to Article 1, Section 5, the takings clause. Rewriting the Bankers Act. Empress, we have to rewrite everything. Everything must be reconstructed. And we've been stating that. So Empress Crystal put in the chat, should we not be rewriting the Bankers Act 1933? It is the banking.
Has anybody noticed that Pauline's demonstrations don't work, so she has to come up with something new every week?
So,
when her demonstrations don't work.
And so,
yeah, she never shows demonstrations like her using the delirium.
You're out of here too. And so, with Islam Empress.
Hi, this is Shasha Anbe, and I just want to clarify something. You said the full faith and credit is Article 1, Section 4, but I'm looking, isn't it Article 4, Section 1?
Yes, it is, Empress. I apologize. It's on the screen. Yes, it's Article 4, Section 1. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I even put it on the screen and it's still transposed it. Thank you for that.
My problem is I'm on the phone. Every time I come in, I get kicked out and you're locked. So I sort of said, let me just sit and listen for now. Oh, now I just got cut off.
You can, because, and that's only after I hear them talking trash. You know, but the more, you know, if anything happens and you get bounced out, Empress, please come back in or send me a WhatsApp and let me know or something of that nature so that we know to open the meeting back up.
All right, wonderful. I'm going to try again. It might be my end. It's really, but thank you.
Yes, Islam Empress. It's open. The meeting is open.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to try to come back.
Thank you. So with that being said, Article 4, Section 1, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress made by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. So that's our job. This Congress has to state how this bonding piece is going to take place. So we showed last week how we put together a bond, a birth certificate bond, and showed you how we were presenting our birth certificate bond. And that's going to be the basis for any bonds that come after that with regard to my work. Like, for example, we know we're all justices and judges. We also know that we are, excuse me. We also know that we have other things, other commercial things, actions that we're doing, specifically with regard to, I am going to lock the conference at this time. Specifically with regard to, for example, the sea salt and things like that we have previously been putting forth on the public record. So let me just make sure here. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So with regard to bonding, this is what we're going to, this is my proposal, because I have to propose it. I can't just say it. Yes, this session is being recorded. So with regard to the bonding, and I would love to hear as much, presentment and feedback and wisdom as possible with regard to this piece. With regard to the bonding, now this is this is what I propose. I propose that we present bonds for the different industries. There are 7 industries, 7 mountains, as it were, on our land where capital is created. And those 7 mountains.
This land is your land. This land is my land.
So let's take a look at them. I'll just name those 7 mountains. Let me see. The 7 mountains.
Just pay the fucking money to get your car back, you dumb cunt. You're going to have to pay money to get your fucking car back, you stupid bitch. You're not.
Just a moment, Morris, Islam. So there are, the 7 spheres are arts, commerce, erudition, the kinship line or family unit, government, media, and religion. Okay? And when we say religion, we're talking about the law. So these 7 mountains, okay, have to be bonded in order for anything to happen with them. So again, erudition, which some call education, religion for us, which is the law, kinship or family, the home, centered around the domicile, business or commerce, government or military, arts and entertainment, and media. These 7 sectors mold the way everyone thinks and behaves. And so we have to actually, because see, many of us have been talking about about taking over the media and all of that. And at this time, everything is in our control right now. We must properly state that, okay, in order to begin using these resources and the banking and all of that. All of that has to be, the work has to be bonded prior to our use of it, okay? And that's going to dictate the proper use of those resources, okay? So with the bonding, my proposal, again, is to present bonds for each area, commercial bonds, government bonds, erudition bonds, etc. Seven types of bonds. And within those 7 precepts, we can take the bonds and exchange the bonds on the public record for bank credits. Now, erudition, the law, the clan, commerce, government, military, arts, entertainment, and media. So with these 7 mountains, what we'll do is print up the bonds, and the bonds will be they will have a particular mark or several marks on them, and those will be original marks on the bonds that we exchange for bank credits. And then with the bank credits that we get for the bonds, we then print up and issue our own currency directly from our bank. And the currency that we issue will have bank credits that match the currency, or capital that matches the currency. So, for example, and then with regard to these bonds, you know, the bonds can be issued face to face, everywhere. They must be issued face to face. They won't be issued by email. They won't be issued by computer of any kind. They'll be issued face to face. And we've already, you know, we thought it through, but we want to hear your thoughts on what you think of this and what you see with regard to this process that we're discussing, because that we're placing on the table, because, and we could have them be anywhere from $5 5 bank credit denominations all the way up to $10 million denominations. And what backs the bonds is going to be our work. Okay, so they will be Treasury bonds straight from the United States Treasury. We already have that. We've already shown on the public record that we have the authority to print them and to seal them and put them together and issue them backed by the Treasury. And they will be anywhere from 2-year bonds to 5 years to 7 to 10 to 30-year bonds. And these bonds will gain in value. We know that for sure. Upon the time that they come to maturity. And so we know that with the bank credits that we get from our bonding program, because it's a program, with the bank credits that we get from our bonding program, we can put the Moorish merchants to work. We can put the Moorish mechanics to work. We can put the Moorish erudition teachers to work. We can put anyone needing work can be put to work by way of this bonding program, and that way we know that even their work is bonded. According to the Constitution, and that way we also know that the work will be honorable work. And Morris, I will say this, through this process, we have to trust one another. So, for example, when we do the sea salt, we have to trust that when the sea salt goes out, that it's going out properly and that the exchange is a proper, honorable exchange. Same thing with our military, with any of the
you
things
need some
that
sea
we're
salt
doing.
to clear your throat, Pauline. Where is?
We need to ensure that that the work that's being done is honorable work, and the only way we can do that, we can ensure that the work is honorable, is when we do it. At least that we're overseeing the work. Now, does that mean that foreigners will not be working? They won't be foreign when they're working here. They're going to be in their proper status, because we don't employ anything foreign. Everything is under our jurisdiction. So there won't be any separate jurisdictions. Everything will be under our jurisdiction, bonded by us and under our jurisdiction. So, and yes, I am getting over something that I was going through as well with my throat. So for those who are noticing that. But with that being said, what do you think about a bonding program so that we can get everyone back to work properly according to the Constitution, and get our banking moving forward? What do you think about that? Any thoughts? Islam.
So with the bonding, the states that we take and put in our jurisdiction, like the incorporation and the incorporation receipt and things, they need to be bonded as well, correct?
Can you ask the question again, because it went in, you faded in and out.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
New York, for instance, it's been reincorporated properly by the de jure federal government, and so they need to be bonded too, right?
The they is not a they. The they is you.
Well, yes, but yes. So yeah. It needs to be bonded.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And you're actually bonding you and your work.
Okay.
Because you're New York, and that goes for everyone there. And so, you know, at each of the territories, we are going to be bonding. At this point, the bonds that we're referring to also are federal bonds. They're issued by the Treasury, federal bonds. And the reason we say federal bonds is federal needs to be done first before state, simply because with the federal bonding programs, it's going to cover all of the industries, everywhere, all across all lines. All across all lines, because we're going to be doing business in a uniform manner, just like the Constitution says, uniform across all states. That's what the Constitution states. So we need to put that part in place, and not have it where this state is doing one thing and this state is doing something different. We want to have it. We want to work together on this. First, federal bonding. And that way, no matter where the Moorish mechanic is, we're all bonded together. Islam, Empress.
I understand the concept of what you're saying, but you said it has to be done in person.
What is there? Yes. Let's see. In the chat, when you business of commerce is a bond. Yes. So when we did the special purpose vehicle called the United States Corporation Company, the one that is backed by gold and silver and platinum and natural diamonds and our energy and sea salt and all of that. The reason we do that is because it forms a bond between us and each other, and us and anyone that receives a service from us. Okay?
So that means that each individual person must do their own bond. I mean, each individual, what is the good word to use? Each individual has to do they must do their own bond, but does that mean that you must travel? If you say I want to do a bond in New York, are you saying that then I must travel to New York to do that bond?
No.
Okay.
No. So if we could, and thank you for that question, Empress. If we don't think individual with this, think government, nation, Treasury bonds, public. The bonds that we're referring to right now are public, not private.
Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully that helps.
Yes.
Even with regard to, let's say, the different states. Yes, the states will be bonding. You know, each of the governments in the states will be issuing bonds at some point. But right now we're talking federal public bonds so that the public can get back to work and do so according to the Constitution. Because remember, when we put the Constitution on the public record and we said, okay, no businesses can do business without the Constitution being your charter, that's the first part of the bonding process. And now we're going to do the second part of the bonding process, which will bring the bank credits to where they should be.
Okay.
So what we're doing now is working to get the federal banking piece in place.
Okay.
Okay, and a bonding program. Thank you, Empress. And a bonding program is the way to do that, and that's going to mean that all work done on the land that has to do with moors is properly bonded and insured, and we do it according to how we regulate that industry, and not anyone coming in trying to regulate the things we do. We are self-governing, and so we want to continue to move in this manner together. And it should be done in order. The order is you put the federal in place first, the federal bonding in place first, according to the Constitution and the treaty and all of that. And bonding again is a constitutional issue. We've already put the treaty piece. That's the overarching earthwide bond of everyone following the treaty, and not following, but everyone observing the law that is the treaty. And now we're saying, okay, on our landmass, and not just our landmass, all land masses, because if let's say, for example, if I send sea salt to the UK territory, it's still insured by these bonds, even over there. Okay. And vice versa. Any work that the Moors there do, and we partake and support them in what they're doing, it's bonded as well. Okay.
Okay, so would that be also attached to the letters of credit?
Which letters of credit are you referring to, Empress?
Well, I'm speaking of, like, say I was going to do import-export, and I needed to go to the bank and get a letter of credit to guarantee the payment and safety of that shipment.
You would actually be taking your letter of credit to the bank. You wouldn't get one from them. You would take yours first.
Okay.
Because that's the only way they can issue one.
Okay.
Yeah. So the overarching bonding for import and export, yes, Empress, you're absolutely on that right thinking path in terms of ensuring that the shipments get through customs and all of that. We have to do that so that, and so that there's no demurrage on your shipments and things like that. And I worked in shipping with United Parcel Service many years ago, back in let's see, when was that? 1995, 96, I believe. Back in the day, I started out working with a company called Fritz Companies, and UPS bought them. But and I'm putting all of that in quotes because we know now we were the ones causing things to move back and forth, with bills of lading and things like that. And so we want to make sure that that even the things that are coming and going between our industry that we do here and the industry on the other lands is taken care of, so that it doesn't spend 5 years in customs, stuck in customs. Because there are, believe it or not, and I've seen it with my own eyes, Morris, there are still computers from 2005 and 2006 that's still sitting in a warehouse somewhere that could not move because it got stuck in customs, and Microsoft and Micron computers and other, quote unquote, companies like that just had to abandon it because the demurrage had gotten so high that it wasn't worth it by the time they got it through customs to get it to sell. And so we want to ensure with this whole bonding that the supply chain, because that's really the issue right now also, is the supply chain is broken for the previous. And that's because, again, bonding is not in place. And no one can recoup anything with regard to the shipments of insuring it. And in the past, if your shipment, yes, I'll open the meeting. If your shipment got caught in customs, you could file an insurance claim and you could get, the shipment taken care of. You could at least file a claim and get the get a reimbursement for it being stuck in there. But none of that is in place anymore. No one wants to insure any shipments. No one wants to insure anything because they can't. It's a guaranteed loss. It's a guaranteed loss. So even and again, when the one that was previously doing business as Pope came and said, no more, we're not insuring anything that we're not insuring anything that the policy enforcers do anymore, because that's really what he did. Was he acted out, taking insurance from the military and taking insurance from the policy enforcers, which are military, and taking insurance from the fake courts and all of that. He removed the bonding that they had previously been fraudulently enacting.
Okay.
You see? And so we meant that to be the case. They knew we were going to terminate all corporate contracts with that beast and then put our own things in place. They knew that. They knew before we even woke up that was what was going to happen. And then the first thing that the ancestors said to us when we woke up is terminate the corporate contracts. Terminate them, all of them. And now, Morris,
every week, Pauline's got to come up with something new because her shit don't work. Every week.
Let me just say this too about that. With this bonding process, we've been looking at it and seeing how to reconstruct it, because we do have to reconstruct it, because their bonding process, it doesn't work. Period. It's clear it doesn't work. You can look around and see that it doesn't work. And so, just one moment. Let me get that. And so, because it doesn't work, those who've been doing things, filling out forms and doing this and that and the third, yes, they may be getting responses back from subjects sitting in our office at the IRS, but they're not getting any relief. They're not getting anything done because we have said no. We said no. because we have to implement that. Okay. So
you can't even get your fucking car repaired because you can't pay your money, you stupid.
Anything that has to be done in terms of the work. One of the forms that we're going to be reconstructing, we'll just show you a little bit about this. One of the forms that we're going to be reconstructing is the SF30 form. And I'm going to put that form on the public on the screen here so that you can see where Morris now you're going to see, that's correct, Justice Sharif, no remedy for them. You're going to see where the termination of corporate contracts had to happen in order for anybody to get any remedy. I began looking at this form, and right here, it's a 2-page thing, and it has this one little page here of quote-unquote instructions that we're going to be reconstructing. And it says right here at number 3, just take a quick moment and look at this. It says, it's talking about modification of contracts. It says, for a modification issued as an initial or confirming notice of termination for the convenience of the government, the effective date and modification number of the confirming notice shall be the same as the effective date and modification number of the initial notice. Well, our initial termination was, I believe it was August the 3rd, 2018, when we as the people put the first lien together on the United States Corporation Company, where it wasn't just one of us doing it, it was all of us doing it, all who assent to be a part of what we're doing, and the sleeping Moors, because we did say all Moors. And then we look here at organized, a description of the amendment, organized amendments or modifications under the appropriate uniform contract format section. And then here it says, just one moment, there's a little bit of noise coming from somewhere on here. If you know that there's going to be a little noise, if you would please *6. But it says here, when the SF30 is used to reflect a determination by the contracting officer of the amount due in settlement of a contract terminated for the convenience of the government. Now, Moors, look at this. They're telling us here what is necessary in order to get a settlement based on a terminated contract for the convenience of the government. Okay? Now, we know they don't have anything to give. We know that. That's why our Treasury is what gives us the bank credit. This is, again, where the receipt process is coming into play and where the Bureau for Fiscal Services comes into play. It all has to be done together. Okay? And so as we begin, once we agree that a bond process is necessary, we then have to agree, and this is the part where our trust is going to come in at. Federal bonding has to be done. That's a face-to-face purchase. It's a face-to-face exchange. And so it would mean several of us going to the different territories together and issuing the bonds face-to-face, because they're numbered. And not only are the bonds numbered, but the issuer has to actually guarantee that the payment is going to be made when the bond matures. Okay? So when we issue bonds or when we issue the bond, and let's say it's a 5-year bond, at the 5-year mark, we have to guarantee that that payment on that bond is going to be made, or that the bond, the reinvestment will happen at that time. Okay? If the people decide that they want payment at the time that the bond matures, then we have to guarantee that the payment is going to be there. How do we do that? With our commerce. Our commerce is going to guarantee. So for us, that is like the least of our worries, simply because of the CSALT process. We already know how to do it. We already know where it is. We know we have unlimited access to it. And we also know that with our banking and the exchanges that take place, we've already done the due diligence. Many of you have done due diligence with regard to industry and business that you've been doing already. So we can guarantee that the payment is going to be made when the bonds come due. And then also, Moors, and this is the part really, yes, that part is there, but the part that means the most to me about this bonding process is that as we issue our bonds, guess who cannot issue anything else with regard to us? No fraudulent issuance of anything that has to do with us by frauds, because we're doing it. That's the part to me that means the most, is no one can take any of us and say we have an instrument that says we can hold you, because we don't even use their banking system like that. The one we use is not theirs. Ours is what it is. And so with the banking credits, and this is another part of this whole bonding system that we have seen and that we know to be truth, is that those ones that were previously doing business as Jews, who were enacting that they had complete control of the banking system, they don't have control of anything at this point. So what does that mean? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that the outside, the nations, don't want anything from anyone with regard to banking, bonds, financial instruments, trade, exchange. They don't want anything from anyone unless they look like us, period. And not just look like us, but prove that you are of the bloodline and birthright, right? Because there are some who might look like us, but they're not us. And so those who were previously supposedly in control of the banking, when really they just had to keep getting signatures from us in our sleep, they can't, that system is not helping them. So here's where they are. They have a whole bunch of bank credits that they can't do anything with because no one trusts them to do anything. And they're saying, we know you got bank credits and things like that, but we don't want anything to do with your bank credits because they're not backed by anything. We want it from the Moors, period. And if it don't come from the Moors, this stuff shuts down. So what we're doing is saying, okay, we're going to issue bonds for bank credits, and then we'll take those bank credits and do with them what's best for our nation and for the people, because what's good for us is good for the whole earth. So it is going to require trust. It's going to require those that won't sell out for fiat and won't accept fiat for our bonds. Okay? Bank credits is not fiat. Bank credits is exactly what it says it is. It's bank credits. And so what we do with the bank credits is we start to print our own money. and it's gold-infused money that we get from our land, and we begin commerce that way, and we make sure that the Moorish merchants have what they need in their tills, and a till is just a cash register, that the Moorish merchants have what they need in their cash registers, and that it's backed by the full faith and credit of us. And as far as I'm concerned, Moorish merchants, my full faith and credit is in all Moorish merchants, period. Bar none, without the honorable. Because, see, when we say Moorish, we're saying honorable. When we say Moorish, we're saying those who keep their word and their bond. So, Islam.
When you said till, I've worked with tills my whole life, pretty much in different venues and jobs and such. But it hit me just now when you said till. That's something that you do with the earth when you till the land, yes. Right? So when you said till for the merchants, that just simplified the connection from our resources to our money to the earth.
Yes. Yes. That term is not even by accident. It's not by accident. And even the word cash.
Yes, that's another term. Like, I have a cache, like a storage.
Yes.
I have a something. Yeah.
Yes. And we, the Phoenicians, put those terms in place specifically. And then the incompetent ones had to bring it down to their level, so they misspelled it. And we just spell it back the right way. Yes, Justice Maurice, whew, that is so powerful what you put in the chat. He said, getting ready to plant seed. Yes. Yes. And so I will say this more, is that we're presenting this and putting this on the table this week. And I would say let's take until Thursday to think about it, and then we'll vote on it on Thursday, the bonding process and the program. That will give time for questions. That will give time for how it's going to be implemented and rolled out, and how we will keep the integrity of the program. Because, see, this was done back in 1933 and between 1913 and 1933. This was done previously, and there was no integrity in the bonding process at the time. So we're going to ensure that integrity remains in the program, that it starts in truth and stays in truth. It has to start with us, and the issuance of the bonds will be under our United States Corporation Company, which has the Treasury. And we will issue originals in each of the territories, and we're actually going to come to each of the territories to issue the bonds face to face. And that means all territories: UK, Jamaica territory, any of the other territories, Africa, Asia, everywhere. We will go specifically, but our main concern is going to be those that are on this call. In terms of, and when I say those that are on this call, the territories that you're at, those will be the territories where we go first and just issue the bonds. That includes Jamaica, UK, Trinidad, the different territories, because we're all one. And so we will print them on the spot and issue them and stamp and seal them with specific stamps and seals that can't be duplicated. We know that for sure. And issue them for bank credits. And this is how we take that banking system and begin the use of it. So, are there any questions about the banking process and the bonding process and how it's going to work at this point. I know that was a very general overview of the process, but it's a very straightforward process. It's going to be done the same way it was done back then. They sold quote-unquote war bonds. Well, these are not war bonds. These are peace bonds. And they're federal, issued by our government. This will be actually, aside from nationality documents and aside from ID cards and the things that we've been placing on the public record, this will be our first financial issuance aside from what we've done thus far, where anyone can do an exchange for the bonds. Anyone can, who has bank credits that they want to transfer. Now, for the Moors who don't have banking, do not worry. Okay? Do not worry. Let us get this part done because we're going to make it so that everyone can have banking. That's why we're taking this step and putting this on the table. It's so that Moors who have said, I don't want to be a part of the banking system because of whatever has been going on, and we honor that because we said it too. We said, look, we're terminating all corporate contracts. We don't want a part of that corpse. So we get that. We're all on the same page there. And now we need to do we need to get all of the honorable banking in place. And so what we'll do is the plan would be to go and hand deliver to each territory the bonds. Anyone wanting bonds, and they'll be issued from the United States Treasury directly from us to the people in whatever denominations the people state in terms of amount and the year model of the Treasury bonds. And the bonding program is an ongoing program. It's going to be part of governing. And so those bonds have to come from the Treasury. Okay? And we've already we've shown on the public record how that happens and where that comes from. The Bureau for Fiscal Services is the Red House. It is the rise of the Red House. That is how our ancestors did what they did. And even other nations and governments who want to purchase our bonds and give banking credits for the bonds, they can do that. Okay? And so there will be denominations for nations and states and governments as well. Okay? So again, this is federal bonding. It's going to be issued from one place and one place only, and that's the Treasury. Okay? One place only. That's what the federal bonding program. And then we'll come back and take a look at the federal bonding program and see what the outcome is, and then we'll move to the state bonding programs. And the state bonding programs will get far more traction with the introduction first of the federal bonding program. Okay? And so when we issue together federally and we say, okay, this is how it's going to be done, and we stick to that, of it being done the way that we agreed that this bonding program is going to be rolled out. And then we go and hand deliver the bonds for the banking credits. Then we take the banking credits that we have and we print our own gold coinage. We also print our own gold paper money for the people and for the merchants to use. So our main concern is going to be the merchants. Why? Because the merchants will make it so that people can work and so that the supply chain can get moving again. Okay? So this is not necessarily individual. It's going to help all individuals. But we want to make it so that the merchants, the commerce gets started back up again in the favor of the Moors, like our prophet said. So that's the proposal, and we will write that proposal up for the bonding program. And in reality, if you want to know what the bonding program looks like, just look at the Treasury bond, study that process, the issuance, the printing and issuance of Treasury bonds and where they come from. Because, see, we were securing that fraudulent stuff and we didn't even know that's what we were doing. And with every signature, and every time we showed a birth certificate or showed a driver's license or showed a Social Security card, we were again funding a quote-unquote we were the Federal Reserve Bank, we were the Treasury, okay? And these bonds will not necessarily be Federal Reserve Bank bonds, they will be Treasury bonds, okay? So the Federal Reserve is where the private bonding comes in at. So the private bonding where birth certificates and things like that are concerned, that comes through Federal Reserve actions. And again, we are the Federal Reserve as well as the Treasury. But then the Treasury bonds are issued specifically straight from the Treasury directly to those doing the exchanges on these Treasury bonds. We don't accept fiat for them as usual. You all know that. We don't, that doesn't have anything to do with fiat at all, period. It is they're being printed up and issued in exchange for bank credits. Okay. And then we go from there. And the thing is, everyone, all of the businesses that are going to flourish from the bonding program, those businesses are Moorish businesses, first and foremost, on the record, for the record, stating and letting the record show. And those businesses only accept go-back lawful money. So their tills will be the money will go to their tills first. There will be a turnover period where, and we'll talk about the turnover period as we continue to implement and roll out the bonding process, the bonding program. So, the banking credits piece is the piece that we needed to implement. We already have gold. We already have land. We already have dolarium. We have so we have everything that we need. Now we're adding that one last piece, which is the banking piece, to everything that we're doing. Okay, and so, for example, I'm going to be buying bonds myself from our Treasury. And when I buy bonds from our Treasury, that means I'm going to have to transfer some bank credits to our Treasury account. And the Treasury account is for our government as a whole. It's a public treasury. And so that's what we're doing now, is moving in that direction. And again, this is a measure so that everyone can get banking done. Would this have any effect on the dolarium we print? Is there a specific type of paper to be used when printed? So individual Moors will not be printing bonds for this particular bonding program. Individual Moors will not need to, you won't need to get paper, you won't need to do printing of any kind. They're going to come from one place, and that's the Treasury. Okay? And that is so that all the bonds in the series look alike, and they have specific seals on them, so that when it comes time to receive payment for the bonds that have been exchanged, that payment is given at the time that the bond matures. And all Moors don't need to be responsible to pay people when we're doing public bonding. That needs to come from the government. It needs to come from the Treasury. Okay, and we need to have the bank credits available to do that. Okay, and we will. We will, and it's also going to require work. So Moors don't have to work. This is not where it all, like what we've been doing in the past, is getting everyone ready to get their commerce going. That's what dolarium is about. That's what the things that we've been doing with regard to our own money system, being able to keep track of our money system using Google Sheets. All of that is so that, okay, that's the ready, set before the go signal for commerce for everyone, so that we can all do commerce, even as this transition takes place. We have to be able to each one get ready to get their commerce going. Okay, so that's what the Delarium is all about, so that we have our own money and everything. And then this particular federal bonding program that we're putting on the table to take a vote on is going to make it so that we have everything that we need in terms of elevating our commerce and our banking, so that we can get this thing going, get the commerce going. So the bank will be printing out a Delarium that looks different from the Delarium that we have. However, the merchants will be able to create some Delarium like we've all been doing, and with a certain amount of receipts, if they want to turn their receipts in at the bank, when they turn their receipts in at the bank, they can write out a Delarium for that amount and give it to the bank, and the bank will then give them the Delarium that has the gold threading in it, or whatever our Delarium is going to have. It may be gold flake, or it may have threading through it. It just depends. We already pretty much know how the gold is going to get into the money. That's really a lot easier than we were led to believe. So we know what needs to be done up to this point. So we say take a week and think about it. Think about the bonding program, and then we'll meet back again. Not a week, but until Thursday, and then we'll take a vote on the rollout of a bonding program, so that we can get these 7 mountains. The bonding programs, this is what they're going to do. They are going to make it so that we can get banking moving, so that we can open our schools, so that we can open get our bank open on the land, in terms of the buildings out at the territory, and that's another reason why federal is first. We want to do it federally first, and we can start issuing all the things that need to be issued all across the land, so that everyone is taken care of. Everyone gets what it is that they need. We have to do that together from a federal perspective. And the things that we're talking about right now, these are things that, temples are more science temples and more holy temples for science. That was one of the things that needed to be done, is we needed to come together and unify. And this bonding program will also unify us. It will assist in unifying us. Why do I say it will assist in unifying us? Because we're going to come to each and all of the territories and get the bonds out there. Even the subjects can do an exchange on the bonds, because they have bank credits. And the bank credits, they can't use them all out there anyway. So when you hear things about quote unquote companies being flush with cash, people that were previously enacting as Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and all of them, they got all these bank credits, but they can't do anything with them. They can't. So that means it's time for redemption. And this bonding process is a redemption process. It will redeem all of those subjects who were previously misbehaving, as it were. You know, you can, you know, they can say whatever, you know, about repentance and things like that, but it's more about redemption. This is how redemption happens for them. So all of those holding bank credits who can't really do anything with them anyway, there's only you can't really buy anything because there was nothing being produced here. And let me say this too, Morris, the last of the production on a major scale, all of that tamped down in 2010, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there. I was reading today where Sony, quote unquote, the television maker and all of that, in 2010, somewhere between 2008 and 2010 or 11, shut down their last and final, quote unquote, factory at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, around that time period, which was actually a marker for all companies and corporations, letting them know that time to shut it on down, because everything has to return to the rightful owners and the rightful heirs. So all of the factories and things like that need to be reactivated. The work needs to be done there where reactivation starts, getting the assembly lines back up so that production can start again, honorable production that is insured properly and bonded properly and things like that. Now, will the bonding process be perfect? I think it will be. I think it will be because I know how our ancestors do when they bliss our actions and our activities. So study the Treasury bond process so that any questions that you have, anything that you need to know about how the process is going to be implemented will be answered there. And then all we're gonna do is reconstruct that process. And then we will put that process on the public record in the coming meetings. We'll take it step by step and put that process on the public record in the coming meetings so that we can, we want to start issuing bonds if the vote is approved by you all. We want to start issuing bonds somewhere around January 1st, because that is the rise of the Red House time. And what does that mean? That means that we want to at least have it approved by then and begin issuance on January 1st. And then we'll begin, the process of going to the different territories and issuing the bonds. So we'll just set it up that we're going to be at this territory on these days and these times at this place or that place, issuing Treasury bonds so that we can get industry, constitutional, lawful, and legal industry going again back, and banking and sound money back on the land. So are there any questions about our proposal, the process, and why we're doing what we're doing and how it will be implemented? Your questions will give me the opportunity to include in the written proposal how the rollout is going to happen.
Islam,
Empress.
Well, I don't necessarily have any questions on that part, but pertaining to the document that's still on the screen when we read 3 and 5, what else as far as the edits on that document? You just left it actually. That one. Are we going to be looking into this?
I'll have to look over it. I have to look over it because I have not looked at the construction of the process word for word. Word for word. We know what the process is. We know what the documentation is. We just need to, we actually have to put it on, go through and do it word for word. But before we went through it to do it word for word, we wanted to take a vote and see if this is what we want to do. So
we're voting today about if we're going to do that?
That's up to you all. I was proposing that we wait until Thursday to give people time to look at the process in terms of studying of Treasury bonds and that whole federal Treasury bonds, not the individual ones. We're talking, this is national and government and overarching bond program. This is a federal bond program. But if you're ready to, for those who want to vote today, if everyone agrees to vote today, then we can vote today. If we have even one dissenting vote, then we'll wait until Thursday. So, is there anyone who Islam Empress?
I need a week. I'd like to do a little research on this.
Okay.
All this stuff is new for me, so I need some time to understand what I'm doing.
Okay, so will this coming Thursday be enough time for you to do your study, Empress, on the United States Treasury bond process?
Yes, that'd be great.
Islam. Anyone else want until Thursday? And I'm actually proposing that we wait until Thursday to vote on the process as well. Will you have a full understanding of the process by Thursday? I don't know. But we want to give everyone an opportunity to look at the bonding process. Empress D. Michelle, are you saying, when you say a week, do you mean by this coming Thursday? Or do you mean next week on Sunday? Oh, okay, Islam. Will you all be prepared to vote this coming Thursday? So we're Islam in the chat. Yes, indeed, Islam. Is there anyone? Well, and that looks like we actually have unanimous in the chat as well on voting this coming Thursday on the rollout of a federal United States Treasury bond program for our government, whereby we do an exchange Treasury bonds, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient Treasury bonds for bank credits, so that we get the bank credits in, and we can do with what we will with the bank credits in terms of the whole goal of it is to get the commerce and the banking going. So we do need to hear from everyone on the call with regard to being prepared at least to take a vote on the bonding program this coming Thursday. Will everyone be prepared to vote by this coming Thursday?
Islam Empress, this is Karima Bay, Virginia Territory. Yes, I'll be ready and prepared to vote by this upcoming Thursday. Islam.
Islam Empress, this is Travis Bay, Michigan Territory. I'll be as well. Islam.
Aisha L. Bay, Michigan Territory. I'll be there. Okay.
Islam.
Islam, Angel Bay, New York Territory. I'll be ready.
Islam.
Thursday.
Islam.
Islam.
Nobility.
Virginia Territory, Noble Timothy Hassan Bay. Yes, I agree. Thursday.
Islam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nobility.
Islam. Rahim Allah Bay, New York Territory. Yes, for Thursday.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Eddie J. Bay, Illinois Territory. I'll be ready to vote.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam. Isaiah Kimberlani Bay, Khalifa Territory. I will be ready.
Islam. Thank you, Justice Isaac.
Islam, Rashid, Salah Bay. I'll be ready Thursday.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam, Rosetta L. Khalifa Territory. I'll be ready Thursday.
Islam. Thank you, Empress.
Islam, Veronica Ronnie Lake, Ohio Territory. I will be ready.
Thank you, Empress. Islam. Islam Nobility.
Islam, Sharif Bay, California Territory. I'll be ready Thursday.
Islam. Justice Dumois, I believe you were saying something as well. Justice Sharif, we have you. Thank you. Islam. Okay, Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam, Orlando Bay, Trinidad Territory. Yes, Thursday.
Thank you, Nobility. Yes, thank you.
Bill can easily Philadelphia Territory. I'll be ready Thursday.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam.
Islam
This
Nobility.
is Morpheus Pascal here in Freemantle, Maryland Territory. Yes, be ready Thursday.
Okay.
Islam.
Thank you, Nobility. Islam Empress. Okay, I do. I'll read through in the chat. There's a few in the chat who, Justice, why not?
Yes.
Yeah, Empress.
Thursday. Why not Prince? Yeah, Bay, Kilanland. Yes.
Islam. Thank you, Empress.
Okay.
Empress D. Michelle. Yes, in the chat, I believe. Islam Nobility.
Needs to be ready Memphis Territory. I'll be ready Thursday.
Thank you, Islam.
Islam.
Okay. Yes, Islam. Justice Messiah says yes for Thursday. Empress D. Michelle says yes for Thursday.
Islam.
Yes, Islam Nobility.
Justice Malik Akil Bay, Illinois Territories. Yes for Thursday.
Islam. Thank you, Justice Malik. Empress Shea Marie says yes for Thursday as well in the chat. Empress Carolyn Linda Wiggins L says yes for Thursday as well. Islam, thank you, Empress. Justice Dawood Squampomac Territory says yes for Thursday. Thank you, Nobility. Let's see. Hopefully I did. Yeah. And Empress Noble Ronsky at Michigama Territory says yes for Thursday as well. And Justice Amos says yes for Thursday as well. Justice Maurice Lloyd says yes for Thursday as well. Thank you, Nobilities, both as well. And Justice Rahim, yes, we got you. Okay. So, we do have a unanimous that we will be voting on Thursday on the bond, the United States Treasury bond program. And this is also clearing the way, and I stated a little bit to this effect earlier, but we're clearing the way as we go all the way. We take the layers, layer by layer by layer, financially, and where everything that we are doing is concerned, so that we put the protections in place all the way to the point of the birth certificates for the new heirs that are coming. We want to make sure that they are automatically born, and the proper documentation is issued and they are bonded to the land. Because, sometimes, and they're bonded to the land by bloodline and birthright. Let's make that clear. But we are talking in terms of their estate and the commerce that happens on their estate, because commerce happens at birth. There's a dowry that is given to the heirs. We inherit land at birth. And there are resources attached to that particular plot of land or that parcel of land. And we want to make sure that no one is bonding or doing anything with regard to that but us and our government, because we are our government. I will unlock the meeting briefly here so that those who, just one moment. Okay. Well, with that being said, just one moment. Islam Empress.
Is there a link that you particularly looked at to study the Treasury bonds? Because I'm currently Googling, and there are so many different things that are out here. There's like T bonds, there's and so on and so forth, with different, perspectives of bonds and such.
So look at the federal bonding process that, let's say, for example, the process by which policy enforcers were bonded, because they were corporations. So there was, and the reason, or you can look at the process by which courts were issuing bonds and bail. That's a federally issued, those were federally issued, quote unquote. Let me be sure I say that properly. Those were fraudulently federally issued bonds, whereby they would take that and go to the Treasury, or the Federal Reserve rather, and pull. Justice Amos did put a link in the chat about bonding. Let me just see. Yeah, he put something in there. Municipal bonds would be at the city level, and at the usually the city level is where municipal bonding comes in at. Let's see. Who else? Let me make sure. We are at some point going to issue all of that. We have to issue municipal bonds and things like that, but that's not where our first bonding is going to be. Okay, our first bonding is going to be federal bonds, so that we can start at in the chat. Everything that we said we were going to do is what we're doing even now. We did say we were going to issue our own money, and we're furthering that process. So that is all that I have for today. The bonds are even. Just one moment. The bonds are even. That bonding program will even.
So are you going to issue a bond to get that Land Rover, Pauline?
Just one moment.
You going to get that Land Rover?
A moment.
You got to issue a bond for that?
Just a moment, everyone.
You better issue.
We control our meetings. So let us ensure that stays the case. No one gets to come in and ask anything without permission. So, with that being said, are there any other questions, comments, etc.? And we'll be walking through that process together, because we're issuing it together. We have to issue it together. We have to, because it's a government program. So this is not something that Light is coming up with. This is something that we've looked at it. We shut down all the fake bonding. That is so clear to me. And if it's not clear to you, just know that. Just keep looking. at where bonds come from and what was previously being enacted with them. So now, with regard to the individual bonding process as well, now this is a separate bonding process. The individual bonding process is separate and different. And the reason why it's important that that process be put on the public record properly is so that there is, yes, indeed. In fact, here, let me put those links on my computer so I can look at what you all are looking at. Justice Amos, I believe, put something in the chat. Let me make sure that I can see that one. I want to make sure I get each and every one of these links, so that and I'll study what you all are studying as well.
Yes, Lami, I just found that one, and it says talking about bonds. So it says, what's the federal bonding program? And so it goes into question and answering about what the bonding program is about. You got it?
Yeah, I see that. So, just know that whatever it is that you read is hypothecated, and we actually get to issue our program the way we want to issue it. So this one is specifically talking about fidelity bonds, which is a separate. It says here the bond insures the employer for any type of theft, forgery, larceny, or embezzlement. We're not really going to be issuing our bonds from the perspective of a place of not trusting, like the sea salt, for example, that we do. As we begin to roll out our sea salt commerce, we're bonding from a place of trust of our employees and of those that we do business with, because we're only going to be doing business with those who are of the proper status and in the proper status, and that's whether they be subject or whether they be more. They must be on the public record in their proper status and proper person, or we will not do business with them. Period.
Islam. Oh, yes, regards to this document I found and shared with people. Yes, it's very clear that we have to rewrite these and things and put it from our perspective. Because I looked up briefly prior to this, finding this one, and it said bonding was a debt. It referred to debt, and I'm like, not anymore.
Nope. Not
anymore. It's credits, sovereign credits. So yeah, we have to definitely.
Even the process. Thank you for that, Empress, because that just kind of reminds me that even the process that was sent to me, I recently, and I've received it from many different places. The process that I received recently from one of the Moors, one of the Empresses, that was given out, I think, by one that was previously doing business as Patrick Divine, and that Divine is not spelled like ours, because that is not, that was a subject, and we thank him for his work in putting the stuff out there. However hypothecated and subrogated the information is, he did put some processes out there, and that was one that was sent to me, the bonding process, the federal bonding process that he put out there. And with regard to that process, just in looking at it, all it talked about was debt this and debt that, and trying to get debt. And to me, I'm like, how can anybody do anything with that much debt? Like, I don't know what made them think they could get anything from that program, because he never got anything from that process, because that's not a proper, you're trying to get more debt from a treasury that is claiming to be a treasury, but it's a debt treasury. It's dealing in debt instruments. And so consequently and unfortunately for the subject previously doing business as Patrick Devine, he transitioned without ever having seen a penny of anything with regard to the processes, because that's a that debt system is done. So where's the credit system? We have to write it. That's where it is. We have to write it. And we've been putting that whole creditor piece in place already, and so we're going to continue doing that as a nation. Islam, Empress.
Islam. So also, as reading this bonding, thing that is as propagated as it is, I was reminded of the Section 8 that we had, and ever since I've been enlightened by what you had stated, I'm just like, wow. And so everything that is any type of benefit or, quote unquote program for the people to assist is from the welfare clause in Section 8. And so that too is going to need to be bonded, because that's a, like you stated, that's a government people program. And for all the housing, all the food benefits, the clothing benefits, everything is for the people, and that needs to be bonded also.
And it has to start and emanate from here and then go out to, and when I say here, I mean it does have to start at North America and then go to the other places. And that's why I'm so grateful for the Moors that are on this call from the other land masses, such as UK and Jamaica and Trinidad, because the processes are going to, you're governing there. The people won't be, they will be able to get everything they need because you're there, and you're going to be putting these processes on the public record. That's why I'm so grateful that we have Moors from everywhere hearing this. Japan territory, French Guiana, South America, Central America, Mexico territory, everywhere, Canaan land, everywhere, because that is how this is how the work is going to get started back up again. It's by way of the bonding, the banking credits, and all of that. That's how we're going to get things going. We've already laid the foundation, and that's the beauty of the work that we've done so far together. All of the things that we voted on, voting on the Treasury, voting on opening our banks, voting on Delarium, voting on printing and putting everything out there. Now everyone is ready. The process says that everything is ready and in place, and now we're putting another piece, another cap on top of what we're doing by implementing the bonding program. And we're willing to come to each and every territory, print out some bonds, and get them circulating so that we can get our banking and all of that up and going. And our banking is already working. We want to make it so that it manifests the way that we've all been knowing that it should, which is by bank cards and things like that. And our merchant, and here's the thing, the merchant cards that we have done and all of that, all we were doing, and this is why I just absolutely love this work, all we were doing was showing the whole world and the whole earth that we know what it takes. We know that everyone's going to need merchant cards. We know that everyone's going to need bank cards. They're going to need things. They're going to need printed money. They're going to need bonding. They're going to need. We had to have the United States Corporation Company our own. We had to start our own and have it start properly, which is with natural resources. We had to show that we knew where to find the natural resources. And we do. We know, I could again, and we said this, and you all can do it too. Go and put your hands on $100 million worth of sea salt. Any of us can do that. I will say this, and I mentioned this to Justice Malik the other day, that one thing we did not, the gold, the silver, the platinum, and everything. Let me just show you one last thing before we adjourn for today until Thursday. This is we're talking about Nissan and the conveyances and things like that. This is another something that we really hadn't thought about. But the gold and the silver and everything that has to do with our vast estate is everywhere. It's all around us. And that's why it's going to be important for the Moorish mechanics to get to work, and the Moorish, the doctors and the homeopaths and all of that. On the screen it says today's cars have more gold hiding in more places than ever before. It says here that for a quick review, gold can be found in onboard computers and other electronic devices that have been used to monitor and control air conditioning and interior temperatures, anti-lock brakes, dashboard displays, speedometers, gauges, engine functions, exhaust and emission functions, fuel injection, and other places. And let me just say this too. There's gold and silver and platinum and copper in every conveyance. Every conveyance. It's particularly the new ones that are not working so well in the onboard computer systems. And so, the Moorish mechanics need to be dealing with that, because it's obviously not working for those who are not in the proper status. So there is so much that we need to know and get moving in doing and things like that. Let's see. We see quite a few links in the chat about bonding. So Morris, I take the links that are in the chat and study them. Thank you to Justice Amos and Empress Angela, Empress Angel for these links, so that we can be prepared to vote on the bonding process and putting one in place. Justice Morpheus says catalytic converters on conveyances has value for years. Justice Morpheus, I'm gonna have to have you to explain that to me specifically, because I am not competent at the catalytic converter, but I know that it has a huge, gigantic value just because people have been stealing them, in conveyances across in that whole setup there. So I know they have some value, With that being said, if there are no further questions or comments, and we're prepared to do the study so that we can vote on Thursday on the bonding process,
look up hypothecation.
We will adjourn here, and let me see just a moment. We couldn't hear what the lady from Poltergeist was saying. But
I'll
with
say
that,
it again. You're not using the word hypothesis.
I hear what she's saying. She's saying we're not using the word hypothecate. Hypothecate means to pledge. So we do know what we're saying. Hypothecate means to pledge, and then we turn around and say not only hypothecate but subrogate, which means pretending to be something that you're not in order to claim the credit that belongs to the creditor. So we know what we're saying. So with that being properly stated, not that we're answering to anyone, what we're doing is explaining that word, because we are actually the Phoenicians. With that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam,
Peace
peace
and
and
grand rising.
grand rising.
Thank you.
Grand
Thank
rising,
you,
Islam.
everyone. Islam.
Crazy people.
Islam indeed.
Peace and grand
Absolutely
rising, man.
nutcases.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Gratitude.
Dumb, dumb, dumb.
Islam.
Islam.
We have to put them out. Islam.
Islam, sis.
Islam.
This is Noble Timothy Hassan in Virginia Territory. I was creating the birth certificate, and I was noticing on the video, I wasn't quite understanding. Does the bond connect to the certificate, or those are two different separate paper?
The bond that was a bond. Okay.
Okay.
So the certificate is separate. That's something that you keep in your private collection.
Okay. So we don't connect that together, right? It's two separate documents.
It's two separate documents, and then what you saw before, where it looked like that might have been a certificate at the top, it was actually a bond certificate and not the actual birth certificate.
Okay. Which video, or do you have a sample that you can put on this video, please? Or what video that you can that shows how to create the birth certificate?
I don't have that, but you can. What we did was we just looked at, for example, I put mine up there, and actually it's not mine; it's the one created by the frauds. I put it up there, and I said, all we do is just take the information and create a new, the real one, the real birth certificate.
Okay, I did that trying to create the certificate bond, right?
Yeah. So
but
they'll look similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The difference would be is that the certificate bond, you connect the Treasury bond to it, correct?
Yeah. The certificate bond is the Treasury bond.
Okay.
That you
all right.
create for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Islam.
Islam. Thank you, sis. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And then all Moors who create those, that's something you can put on a public record and notify any fraudulent policy enforcers and fakes and all of that. You can notify them that you have bonded yourself and that that nothing they have has anything to do with you.
Exactly. That's what I was. The concept with me is goes by terminating every contract. I knew that included the birth certificates as well.
Yes.
But they don't seem to honor it that way, So I think to verify it is having our birth certificate.
Yes. Yes. See,
okay.
That's the purpose of everything we're doing. That's another major purpose, and this must be made clear, and I want to make it as clear as possible, that we cannot get rid of the stuff that they did without putting something in its place. Nature abhors a vacuum. That we must fill that space, or else they'll come back and try and
do it again. Yes. Well, okay.
We must, and that's what this bond process is all about too. Yes, we killed all of that stuff. Now we're going to put the truth in place. Islam.
Okay. The living birth record certificate, right? We put all the seals on there, right?
Yes.
We put all the seals on that as well as the bond, correct?
Yes.
So they coincide with each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Okay. So I was thinking to start putting my documents out, right, and putting all the seals on them as well.
However you're led to do it, nobility. However
What you say, sis?
I said, however you are led to do it, I would do that.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you, sis, and
you're welcome.
Thank everyone, all the heirs for whatever you all have done. It's definitely made an impact.
We thank you too. We thank you too for your powerful demonstrations as well, nobility.
Islam.
Islam indeed. We got this, everybody. Peace and grand rising.
Peace.